Hello and welcome to my next lecture. In this lecture I'm going to cover product sampling and how and the why as to whether you should even get samples in the first place for the products you're going to import from China and how you go about doing it. So very simply, you're going to send your supplier an email. So I do most of my communication actually through my own personal emails instead of doing it through the Alibaba messaging center. You could do it however you want. It doesn't matter. You still need to communicate with the person you're buying the product from that you want the product samples. So I'm going to show you an example that I use, and I'm going to include this sample email template as well to the lecture here so you could see it. I'm going to have it here on screen, and I'm also going to include it as an addendum so you could see the file itself and customize it for you. Okay? So obviously I just make it, there's their email address, the title, product samples, and I say, "Dear Lily, thank you for the quote on purchasing 1,000 units of the body pillows for me." So I'm making believe, I'm buying 1,000 body pillows, right? "I would love to move forward with setting up an order for these very soon, but first I would like to check on the quality and the design of your product that you are offering to me. Can you please give me the price to send me a couple samples of the body pillow that you quoted me on? I would like at least 2 samples, and if you could send me any other designs or styles that you have as well, I would greatly appreciate that, if the cost would be minimal for them. Please advise on the total cost to ship me several samples, and please let me know exactly how many samples you will be sending to me and of what specific products I will be receiving the samples for so that I can match them up to the product listing page and the images of the item I have been discussing with you." So you want to make sure that you are getting what you guys discussed in the first place, so they don't send you a different sample and that sort of thing. So it's important to specify that in here and to figure it out beforehand, so you're not paying them for samples for something that you weren't even talking to them about in the first place, because that can happen. Okay. So using model numbers, item numbers, and stuff like that, it's important if you can, specifying the exact listing that you're referring to so there's no confusion. Okay. I close it out by saying, "I can send you a payment via PayPal once I receive the quote and approve of the total cost, which I assume we will also apply these costs to the final quoted price for the 1,000 pieces order. Please confirm that as well. Thank you kindly for your time. Respectfully, Anthony Monfort." So here I'm saying I want them to apply the cost that I'm paying for these samples to the order ultimately in the end. So if I'm paying, $100 for the samples or whatever, I want that money applied to whatever I'm going to pay them in the end. Say I pay them $5,000. I want that applied to that. And they'll do that. It's just a courtesy because, you're sending away for samples for something to, place a large order with them, that sort of thing. So, they're just doing, respecting you just on the other end and saying, yeah, we'll credit you basically for those. Many times I've also gotten a few free products. Say I order 500 or 1,000 pieces or whatever, they'll throw in an extra 5 or 10 or something like that units for free. It depends on the product cost. It doesn't sound like a lot, and when you're ordering 1,000 or 2,000 pieces, 10 fresh items isn't really anything, but free stuff is free stuff, right? So who can complain? But in any event, that's how you go about emailing them. I'm going to include that email in the course, so you guys can all view it there. But what about, should you even get samples in the first place? Is it always a necessity? Now, some people might say, yes, you should always get samples. You should always get samples. Why would you not get a sample on something you're going to invest in? Well, what if you're not really making that large of an investment? What if you're investing between like $500 and $1,000 for an item, or even less? Say you're only going to invest like $300 for an item, and you're trying to invest, get 100 items or whatever it is. Are you going to spend $100 on, a sample for something that you're only going to spend $300 for the inventory for? That's crazy. That's a third of your cost right there, just on sampling. And for some things, it's not even necessary. For example, if you were going to sell kitchen utensils, and say these were the silicone kitchen utensils you were going to sell, and you saw the pictures here on Amazon of the ones that you intended to buy from Alibaba, and you matched up this exact picture to the one on Alibaba, and you could clearly see that they're pretty much going to be exactly the same, pretty much probably one of the same manufacturers, that sort of thing. Now, do you really need a sample of these kitchen utensils? What are you going to get out of getting that sample? I mean, really, what are you going to see from that sample? Are you going to see that it's really silicone, that they really make kitchen utensils? And what is it that you're looking for in getting the sample? So remember that. Think about that before you even get a sample in the first place. Think, is it necessary for me to get a sample of this style of product or not? Does it matter? Is it cost effective for me to do it? Or should I just take a little bit of the risk and just say, yeah, just send me the order for $500 or whatever. I'll incur a little bit of slight risk. And even if it's not that, the best of quality, I'm still going to sell out of the item. I mean, maybe I just won't reinvest in this item if it's not the best quality that I'm looking for. Like, say it didn't get like perfect reviews and I got like, 3.5 to 4 stars. But, you're still eventually going to sell them out. Maybe there's not like the best seller, so they're not selling as quickly as you would have liked. So maybe you buy a different style or a different, from a different place next time. But, is it worth spending a lot on sampling if you're not going to spend that much money on it? I don't know. I don't think so. So for this kind of product, you know what it is that you're going to get. Now, for products where there's some issues with the production, like sewing the product, that sort of thing, and you want to see the design and you want to make sure that it's sewed properly, then it's actually comfortable, that sort of thing. Then I think there's a little bit more importance to getting samples for a product like this, where you want to see the quality of the craftsmanship and that sort of thing. You want to see that they are sewing it properly, and that things are done in a good fashion. There is some good quality control on their end. You want to see that sort of thing for products of this nature. But for a product that's like a kitchen utensil and it kind of is what it is, and there's not much that could really go too wrong in the production of it, I'm not too sure. But, things like this, or maybe things that require assembly, that sort of thing, or things with multiple pieces, with zippers, anything like that, you should get samples of, because you want to make sure that the zipper design is good. Anything of that nature, you definitely would want to get a sample of a product like that, so you could see the quality of the craftsmanship that's involved in putting that together, versus, like I said, like a kitchen utensil. It kind of is what it is, and you're really not going to do too much different. But in the same vein, if you were ordering a small amount of these, I still wouldn't invest in getting a sample. If you're just going to spend like $300 or $400 or $500, you should just buy the product, and you're buying a sample size by spending a smaller amount like that in the first place. So that's really your sample order anyhow. So take that as your sample run, and then if it sells successfully and is doing very well and people are pleased with that style product, then you continue with it. But if it's not getting as high of star ratings for the reviews as you'd like, then you just don't move forward with that style. Maybe the product is still good, but maybe you just get a different manufacturer to make it. Okay, so that's my viewpoints on sampling. I highly recommend you go by what I just said to you there, because it's going to save you money in the end when you don't need samples. Often a lot of people just get them because they think they need to get them, and then they don't even really know what they're looking for when they receive them. So don't get them if you don't need them. You don't have to always get samples. I know some people say samples, have to get samples. Well, not in all cases, okay? But in many cases, yes, and you do want to, check to see that the quality is good. Now, if you get some good samples, list them for sale. Keep one of them for, I always keep one sample of everything that I'm going to sell, just so I could then verify it and match it up to whatever it is that I'm going to sell. So when I get my order and I get those 1,000 pieces, I want to say, yep, this is the exact one that I got the sample for. Same quality, same everything. They didn't vary on, the placement of the zipper or the placement of the tag or anything like that. Everything is the way they said it was going to be in the original sample I got, that sort of thing. But if you get a handful of samples, sell the extra ones. Just, get rid of some of them. Just why not? Either when you get your final order or whenever, and just make some money off them. You might as well. Otherwise, what else are you going to do with them? So keep that in mind as well. That's about it. Don't have much else to talk about on the sampling. Like I said, I do recommend it for, certain cases, but not in every situation. So keep that in mind. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.